Chamber, Valorant's latest agent, has just been added to the PvE, and I've gotten to play a whopping 1 game with him. But I thought it'd be interesting to kind of compile everything I did in that game into one video and kind of talk about my thoughts on the character. Obviously, very, very early look in terms of, there are so many things you're going to be able to do with him. I've only scratched the surface on one map, playing it one time while still trying to figure everything out. But so far, Chamber is probably the most exciting new agent they've added since Yoru. And Yoru wasn't necessarily a powerful agent. He was just one that the concept of really fascinated me. And it makes sense because Chamber is very, very similar to Yoru in terms of having that teleportability. But something about Chamber's kit just seems to flow super duper well. It all feels very, very balanced, and I love the way that he is designed to be an opper. I mean, every single one of his abilities helps with that, but he also can have some really, really fun outplays. It's a character where you can play it just like they're intending, where you get an op, hold angles, lock down a site, or you can play it very differently. As you can see, like in this part right here, I'm playing kind of the lurker who's able to bounce around the map a little bit more than a normal character would be able to. And so I think on offense, that's really awesome. He's definitely the most offensive capable Sentinel, in my opinion. I mean, Sage is up there, but I think just with those TPs and the guns as abilities, they work really well. And again, I said everything here is geared towards, opping, and that's very much true. Let's TP. It's an instant TP, so if you're holding an angle, you can stop. You can just press E. You can basically do the jet thing where you just fire the shot and dash at the same time, but instead you're TPing, so it's a little bit more planned out. His, Sheriff is a secondary weapon for when you're opping, so that's pretty awesome. His ult is literally an op, and then his, alarm bot or, trademark or whatever you want to call it, it may not seem like it necessarily goes at anything to do with opping, but first off, it's slowing angles, which means opping's easier. And then second off, you can hold really weird angles because you can kind of rely on this bot to get people. It has a huge radius on it. And as of now, obviously people don't know how to play against him. So I'm sure this bot will get less powerful in time as people learn to shoot it and all of that. But, it triggers fairly often, and it's just kind of like having 2 alarm bots, which I feel like is really, really awesome. So I feel like all of his abilities work really well together, giving you this kind of sniper character who also can be very, defensive. I mean, right now I'm showing you offense clips, but there gets to be a point where he can be very, very defensive, but he can also be that kind of lurkery role, which obviously Sentinels do fill, sometimes, but I think he does it really, really well. His TP, I still haven't learned all of his sounds. His TP is not as loud as I thought it would be when playing against him. Customs currently are disabled on the PvE, so I can't go in and really test specific things, which was my original plan. But yeah, he just feels very, very good. In terms of power level, I do think he's one of the more powerful agents recently added. Looking back, characters like KO were not necessarily well received when they first dropped in terms of power level. Astra's really, really good. Yoru's been kind of meh. Skye was really bad until they buffed her. So characters seem to be coming kind of weak, and I think it is too early to say, hey, he's good, he's bad. But I do think, he's a pistol round, kind of character. You can get a classic light shield and 4 bullets in a Sheriff. And I feel like that's going to be a very, very popular thing to do. So I see him becoming, almost, I don't know how to describe it. I don't think he's gonna replace the main function of a Cypher or a Killjoy. I don't think he has that level of a lockdown, but he does definitely feel like a kind of character who can kind of be that second Sentinel who, obviously he can lock things down, but he feels more on the edge, kind of like how Viper feels kind of Sentinel-y. Chamber here feels kind of, I don't want to say duelist-y, but he reminds me a lot of Reyna, where you're relying on gunplay and all of that, where, literally half of its abilities are just guns. So in one round, like this round right here that we're watching, I have a Shorty, a Vandal, a Sheriff, and an Op all in, I have access to all of them. And that mixed with the TP, I think is just a great combination of pure power as well as fun, as well as the ability to do outplays. I mean, this round's kind of ridiculous. but like it is just something that I find to be really, really enjoyable. Obviously, we're going to learn more and more about the character, what to do, what his best maps are, but like something like Split's really, really fun. And you'll see as I go into defense here after this round, he has a lot of potential there when it comes to being able to like hop between sites. Yes, there is a range to his teleports, but you know, in maps like Split, you can very easily teleport from A heaven to B heaven and vice versa. And you can actually get it to be in Link, or not Link, Vents, sorry. You can get it so you can teleport from Vents into B, or sorry, from Vents into A, or from A to B, or from B to A. So it just seems really, really good. Again, it just feels very fluid. KO has a lot of different pieces, and I don't want to say they don't work well together, but they all just feel like good pieces of abilities. But I feel like pieces of util, I guess I should say. But KO, or Chamber, my brain is scattered right now. Seems really awesome. I'm going to be playing more and more. Playing on the PvE is a little bit difficult because a couple things happen. Someone locks in before you, or you do manage to lock in and someone on your team dodges, or someone on the enemy team dodges because all they want to do is play Chamber. So I'm excited for when or if they open up customs in the PvE, we'll be able to test out specific things like, you know, how does his ult interact with KO suppress, which never happened to me. I assume it makes him put it away, but we're going to learn all about that stuff here. You know, and I feel like KO and this guy, Chamber and Reyna all have very similar themes of like relying on gunplay. KO's going to shut down abilities and just have basic flashes. Reyna's going to rely on getting kills, and then Chamber has 4 guns. So it seems like they're pushing a lot of gun-based agents. And so I do hope in the future we get another agent more similar to Astra, where it's kind of out there, not relying on gunplay necessarily, but not to the level of like Raze, where you can literally ace without shooting a single gun. And I know that there's going to be some hesitance with Chamber because he is killing with abilities and he does it quite often. But I do think it's a little bit different to have an ability that gives you a gun and you get a kill with versus like an ability that kills, if that makes sense. It'll be interesting to see how he's played in pro play. I am not gonna even try to attempt to tell you what that's gonna look like, but just from my experience, he's at least a blast to play. Now, that is how all agents seem to start, although I will say KO was a little bit less fun. The most fun I had with him was just stopping results. So, you know, he was a little less fun, but I think Chamber has that potential to just be really powerful. But then again, I remember saying this day one of Yoru because people just didn't know how to play around him, didn't know what to listen for, didn't know what the common strats were. And so I expect that his, I don't want to say viability is going to go down, but I expect that, you know, what you're able to get away with is going to go down over time. Either way, those were some of the highlights from my games and my first thoughts on Chamber. If you've gotten a chance to play him or just are looking at footage and all of that, let me know what you think. Is he your kind of character? Do you think that he's good for the game? All of that. I'm very, very curious. Also, this is a new channel. Didn't probably mention that, but it's something I'm excited to start up and see kind of how it goes. So any feedback would be great. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.